Welcome to Peace is a Choice, the podcast where we explore how conscious awareness can help us cultivate inner peace and transform our lives. I'm Natasha Wallace, and in each episode, we'll hear from guests about their personal journeys, the challenges they've faced, and how they've found greater levels of peace in their lives and positively impacted the lives of others. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Calvin Eden. Calvin's path could have looked very different after losing his best friend to a tragic murder at just 15. He could easily have taken a darker route. Instead, he channeled his pain into purpose and co-founded Loudspeaker, giving young people the tools to aim high and live their best lives. Through their high-energy workshops, Loudspeaker help young people to speak professionally and leave them confident enough to take up new opportunities. Calvin, welcome to Peace is a Choice.
Woo! Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. Sorry.
So I've been really looking forward to seeing you because, of course, often when I'm doing podcasts, I'll meet with the guests prior to the podcast, especially if I've been introduced to them and we don't have a prior relationship, and that was the case for us. We met through Moja, who are the PR agency that publish or manage this podcast. And I just can remember feeling so uplifted talking to you when we spoke before. And you also said to me that you don't do every podcast you're invited onto. I felt privileged that you had agreed to come on this podcast. What made you come onto it?
Firstly, let's set the record straight for anyone watching and listening. Don't think that I don't do any podcasts because I've got ego. I loved your vibe. I love your energy. We connected, hit it off, and I think you're an awesome human being. Like, I would definitely take you to Nando's because that's what I do with people that I like. And
Right, we're going to Nando's then.
yeah, they're perfect. And I just love the whole ethos and sort of what your podcast was about. And I thought, yeah, that's something I could definitely get involved in. And I think you're one of the people that we need to pioneer in terms of a voice.
I mean, if you've got an audience and if you've got a platform and if anybody's even bothered in what you've got to say, I think that's like a massive privilege. You have to use it for good, don't you?
You have to use your voice because you need someone to look at or listen to you and be like, oh my God, like they're like me, or they're like super normal, like I can do that, or they've given me that little bit of inspiration, that little bit of motivation.
I think if you're driven by purpose, if you're driven by making a positive difference in the world, and of course, you know, more than ever, it feels like people are struggling and the world just looks like quite a difficult place at the moment. It's a hard place to be. So I think the more of us who are trying to help people to navigate the day-to-day of life and, you know, be their best selves and see who they really are and what they're capable of, like, I think we sort of have a duty to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Purpose is everything, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I watch some great entrepreneurs sometime, and the most successful people I ever meet in my life, every single time. The reason why it, made so much money, it's because I enjoy it. I love it. I feel like I have a purpose, and I keep trying to push this narrative is purpose beats paper every time. Like purpose beats money every time. And some people will be super disheartened about, oh, but financially I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But you have purpose. Along with waking up every day, like being one of the biggest flexes in the world, being able to get out of bed, but like purpose driven people is also a big flex. Like imagine going every day to do something that you're passionate about and like no matter how much you paid, you're just still happy. For me, it's that getting up, getting out every day, using my voice to do great things, meeting wonderful humans. Every single day now in life, I tell someone they're amazing, or I'll tell someone they're beautiful, or like every single day in life. Because I want my purpose and my legacy to be that was someone that always tried to make people feel good, you know?
And what's the impact, do you think, of doing that?
You might say to someone that they're amazing, right? And they might be in a point in life where they just think, "God, is this worth doing? Am I good enough?" And they go home and look at themselves in the mirror and go, someone today, somebody asked me if I was okay.
It's priceless. It makes such a massive difference, doesn't it? And actually, I want the audience to know who you are, so we'll get onto that in a minute. But given that we're on purpose, um, I was watching. I've been listening to this podcast talking about how we've all got a unique story. We've all got unique talents, and really, what you should be trying to do is focus as much as possible on that uniqueness. And I do think that's linked to purpose because I think my journey has certainly been like a combination of the two. It's like, what do I feel really strongly about? So I feel really strongly about helping humanity to feel better, uplifting humanity, helping people feel better on a day-to-day basis. Combine that purpose and then the endeavor and the mission to uplift humanity with what am I okay at? Well, I'm okay at speaking, I'm okay at coaching, I'm okay at helping people to understand themselves. I understand behavior. So it's like the combo of those two things that creates what you do. I mean, is it the same for you?
Yeah, that's it. It's finding those little things in you that you can champion, right? I'm pretty similar to yourself there. Like, okay, yeah, I'm good at communicating. I guess there's sometimes a little part of me that can have that doubt, and that little bit of self-doubt is something that comes into play quite a lot, especially, depending on the environment that I'm in and the places that I go to. I start to think, oh, am I actually good at that thing? Am I just like absolutely winging it? Because that's a massive part of it as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, like believing your own hype and then thinking, hold on, for ages I've thought that I'm quite good at this, but am I? And especially, I think there's so much visibility now, isn't there, with social media? You can see so much. You know who your peers are. You know the people who are working in your space. You can see them. So yeah, I definitely think self doubt is something that creeps in. However, my conclusion about self doubt is that a little bit of it is healthy because I think without it, you can, your ego can get a little bit big, especially, if you have people saying to you, oh wow, you've done such a great job and will you come on my podcast and you're amazing. I like self-doubt, but as long as it doesn't become like a debilitating factor where it holds you back and then you start thinking, oh no, actually I'm not very good at this, and then of course the whole thing falls apart.
I couldn't agree with you more. Here's how I try to balance that, right? Is anytime someone says, "Oh, you're doing so amazing," and the truth is, I always say, "Well, I'm just super lucky. Like, I'm super lucky. I'm super lucky." And the reason why I'm lucky is because, like, I stumbled onto a thing where I get to do every single day that I enjoy. You have to remember where you came from. I'm not gonna lie. I come from a family that are very like, yeah, don't get ahead of yourself because you are still that little boy in my eyes. My mum, my sisters, they'll tell me straight. They'll be like, "Look at this guy. Who do you think you are?" So I have no time to not be humble with it. And I think it's also important to celebrate your wins and be proud of what you're doing. Young people DM us on Instagram. Like we get thousands of messages, thousands. They'll be like, "Hey, Big C, you was in my college today. That was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Like you inspired me. I'm gonna go and do this." And obviously, then you're like, "Wow!" You can't really see how impactful what you will have done is until someone says it to you. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about that then, actually. So, what do you do? So, why are you getting all of these messages from the young folks? So, yeah, where have you come from, and what's that led you to?
Calvin Eden, aka Big C, uh, originally born in North London. I'm a North London born and bred human from Edmonton. I guess my background is grew up in a tough situation, and I don't like to scream the "oh yeah, I'm from a council flat." The truth is, yeah, you grew up in a council flat, which is cool. Like I have no problem with that. It was just my home. If you haven't got the brain, or you're not an elite sports person, or you don't rap or sing to a Adele level, you are going to be stuck here for the rest of your life. In the era when knife crime was at its extremist, in terms of it was just coming to the UK, and being in and around people, and having relationships and friends with people who were in this kind of environment. It was a very quick decision for me, and it was like, okay, you have two choices. You can either get up and get out, or you can stay here. And I guess the turning point was a PE teacher in my school who said to me, I went to university in Liverpool, and everyone over there's got like your personality. I was like, what's my personality? She was like, they're all like crazy fun and energetic and really nice, and you should move from here, get out of here. Obviously, in that, I'm so sure we'll come to it later, but in that, a lot of bad things happened in my life. But one day I got up and left, moved to Liverpool, said goodbye to my mum. I was like, I'm never coming back. I actually had started a business when I first moved to Liverpool, and I used to put on events and club nights. It like got big. Like I started going. I st I couldn't even believe it at the time because it was such a it's a ticketed event, right? So you just get your
Mm.
money from these ticket outlet companies and your in-person ticket sellers. And I started doing shows in like Ibiza and everything.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it was crazy. It was the craziest time of my life. I was like this like semi well put together black kid who's moved from London to the north of England when I've never heard another accent in my life, unless it's an African or a Jamaican accent. And I've moved to this area where I don't understand what they're saying. And one guy here was like, mate, your personality, we could sell tickets, let's sell tickets. And we started doing it all around Ibiza. We did a couple of shows in Ireland, and it like blew up. It was like huge. And we'd like book artists, and yeah, that's where I started. But I very quickly realized it's not sustainable for the rest of my life because the problem with that is you're out every day. I then started getting into the world of youth and education and started working with Everton Football Club. They have a community arm. It's called Everton in the Community. And my job was to go into schools and engage students to come on a summer program called NCS. Now, NCS stands for the National Citizen Service. It was an initiative that was built by the Tories when they were in power. And the initiative was to engage young people. So in the summer holidays, they could go on a 4-week residential where they could do outdoor activities and they could like, meet new people and build their social cohesion. The young person only had to contribute £50 and the government paid, yeah, which is the government paid the other 1,450 quid. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I was like, it's such a good idea. So I was going into the schools and I realized that I like young people. They were really fun. Turns out every young person's super different nowadays, especially in a world where, there's a lot of additional needs popping up and, we're starting to champion, things like mental health and learning difficulties and ADHD and myself being someone who's definitely neurospicy. It was a real great outlet for me to let out some of this wild energy. Out of that, Loudspeaker was born. I said to my manager one day, my business partner and I, we were like, "Hey, our job is done for the year. We'd love to write a program that would engage some of these young people." Truth. Here's the actual truth. There's a little bit more truth to that. There's one geezer who came in from The Apprentice to do a workshop with the kids, right? And he was rubbish. Yeah, sorry, he came in to do a workshop on with the young people to try and engage them to try and get into business and stuff. But instead of engaging them, he came in and did a 2-hour talk and basically said for the whole time, "My name's this, and I'm great, and I'm good, and I know Alan Sugar, and I've done this, and I've done that, and I've done this." And obviously, the neuro spicy kids like me are sat there thinking, "Oh my God, when am I going home?" And I asked my manager after the session, "How much did you pay that guy?" 2 hours. It
Yeah.
cost £2,500.
Wow. Yeah.
I said, "What?" I said, you spent at the time more than my monthly salary on
Oh,
2 hours.
wow.
Me and my business partner basically said we were going to write a workshop. We wrote this workshop. It was called Loudspeaker. We asked our manager if we could deliver it to the kids that were on the next program. 500 kids, 498 of them said that the best thing they'd done was Loudspeaker, considering they were up against archery, high ropes, outdoor activities, and any of the people they booked. They said that this little workshop with these guys called Loudspeaker was the best thing that they ever done. And today I've still got the copy of all of the feedback forms because we used to do it by hand. That every single filled in and said that we was amazing. And that was when I was like, okay, we've got something. What Loudspeaker does, as you rightly said, is we aim to give young people the tools and tips, tricks that they need to be able to just win at life. The question is, what is winning at life? And what are some of those tools? Anything along the lines of building your general confidence, your ability to be able to communicate with other people, teaching them how to network, build relationships, leverage relationships, how to start enterprise and set their own businesses up. And it's that thing that started as a side hustle in a youth program back in the day has been running for 6 years next month, 6 years and a bit. And we've engaged with over 300,000 young people across the United Kingdom.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, we've got a big team, and we've actually branched out into some other markets. So we have a couple of sister companies, one called Speakeasy that does corporate workshops for corporate companies and staff members in schools and colleges.
Mm.
And then we have another one called Global Edge that works international education providers, so big private schools abroad. But in the UK, we focus on those families and school kids that come from low income households mainly. We still do work with privilege. We want to give it to the people who are similar to us and come from backgrounds that where they haven't got access or they don't know entrepreneurs, and they look at us and they go, oh, okay, so that this is something we can do. And yeah, man, and I love it. And it's, and to give you a picture, or if anyone's trying to visualize what these workshops can look like, you come in, there's music, there's confetti cannons that go off during the day, like there's massive, giant, inflatable unicorns getting passed around the room. The most disengaged kid with every need under the sun by minute 15 is on the stage telling their story, talking about their loves, their challenges. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
So why is it different? Why does it energize these kids? And
Mm.
why does it actually, bring value?
It connects with the young people because it's very authentic. And what I mean by that is like me and my co-founder and I were just two black guys, one from London, one from Warsaw, who bashed their heads together. So as you can imagine, it's very urban. Like we don't speak to them as if we're speaking to corporate funders. We speak to them as if they're our mate. And of course, we're on social media, so we get involved with it, and we're very like connected to them. So it's like they would never imagine their dad or their uncles saying some of the stuff that we say, or their teachers even for that matter. We talk about networking being a skill that you use in the world of business. But you know what? We also talk about it as if it's a skill that you're going to need when you're trying to meet people or you're trying to go on
Mm.
first date. Like public speaking, you need it on first dates. And I'll tell a story and I'll be like, imagine like you're trying to go with your potential wife or your potential hubby. You're trying to go for a two-piece chicken and that. And then you're gonna sit there on a date and you're gonna be like, babes, and they are crying, laughing because they're like, what the hell is he talking about? But they get it, and they
Yeah.
understand that. The best workshop we have is called The Game of Life. It's all about personal storytelling and resilience. We talk about passions. We talk about your challenges. We talk about failures and successes. And we give, and as you can imagine, every staff member we have, every one of my colleagues has a different story. So we all get different reactions. So, like myself, my love, I'll talk about family, I'll talk about friends, I'll talk about loudspeaker being my passion, my job, I love this thing because
Mm.
it's amazing. Like I wake up every day, I'm excited to do it. But then I'll talk about my challenges and I talk to them about losing my friend and I talk to them
Mm.
about the other people I've lost in life. I talk to them about recently, while I'm standing here and staying here in this conversation with you, Natasha, I honestly say, like, I've recently been going to counseling and it's taken me so many years to finally open up and start speaking to people. I talk about it proudly now, it brings some of them to tears because this is real for them, and these are things that they're going through as well. You know, I talk to them about my failures. I tell them that, hey, like I'm standing here as this big founder guy, whatever, who's made this and done that. But I'm also the first person to tell you that I failed maths, English. I even failed food tech. And then just success is being able to tell them that it's not about business and it's not about
Mm.
money. I'm just
Mm.
proud that I'm alive because I realize that some people don't get that privilege, man. And this is why we should be thankful for life because we take it for granted that people never woke up this morning and yeah, just those messages. That's why they relate. That's why people book us. And that's why colleges and schools and these people get us in. They feel the energy. I'm super passionate about it. My team are super passionate about them. And more importantly, we just want every young person out there to feel heard.
It's just so incredible what you're doing, and your energy is amazing. I can just see how that would be hugely uplifting, and it feels very real as well. It's very authentic, isn't it? And I often find that younger kids or the younger generation aren't dealt with in a very real way. Do you know what I mean? Like, parents don't tell the truth about what they're going through because they want to protect their kids from what it is. In a school environment, you're sort of trying to get the children to comply the whole time, aren't you? And I think that we've learned to do that through rules and discipline and taking the fun out of things. I mean, I was having a conversation with some friends the other day who were talking about how they used to get told off a lot in school for laughing. You'd be sent to the head teacher, and then it
Mm.
reminded me that that was me at school. I messed around. Like, I went to 11 schools, so I had to adapt a lot to new environments. So you become very good at quickly sort of shape shifting yourself into a new environment and trying to make new friends. So I wasn't academic at all, and I failed a lot of my GCSEs. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the grounding. We moved too much. I didn't really ever learn how to learn. I'm dyslexic. There were so many things that got in the way of me doing well in education, and I did well in later life when I went off to uni and stuff. But it took a long time for me to figure out how to do that. I used to get sent out of the classroom for laughing. And we were talking about how, like, unfortunately, I think schools can do that. I mean, I'm sure I was massively disruptive because I found everything so very very funny, but I'm sure we knock the stuffing out of the younger generation. Sometimes we make it all very serious, don't we?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's such a massive shame. And I can imagine the work that you're doing is just such a contrast to what they experience often on a day-to-day basis.
100%. And like, I think you're bang on because that's exactly what we're trying to do. And you know what? It's like I don't know why we haven't got this yet. Like, think about the education system, right? The problem is the system's been the same for so many years. It's hard to get into teaching now. Like, people are fed up. Like, people are broken.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
and like for me, education will work properly when the teachers are like feeling good about it
Yeah.
because it starts from there. And it's
Yeah.
like the reason why they don't want to engage with the teachers is because people are so old, but you don't need a student to fear you. Every child, every student wants to go to your class on time if they like you as a person. Every child wants to do well in your class if they like you as a teacher, if they think that you're a real fun teacher. See, like no one, they don't mess around with that stuff. They will feel like, no, okay, Mr. Calvin told me that, so I'm gonna make sure I do it because I don't want to let him down because we have a good relationship. And that's what we need to do with our young people. Unfortunately, these kids that are going into loads of state schools are coming off the back of traumatic experiences and a lot of difficulty. And then the kids that are going off to independent schools have a different set of challenges, but those challenges come from a place of, oh, actually, my child doesn't have to worry about this because they're surrounded by this person or they get it's paid for or da da da. So they get a different set of experiences, which means that yes, they're gonna be a little bit more respectful to teachers because they grew up in an environment where they haven't seen their dad screaming at their mum or da 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 da. And that's not to say that all wealthy people are like that, but it's to say that unfortunately, more state school children are going to come with a lot more baggage, which means that they need a lot more representation and a lot more good role models. And if they have these good role models and they have these people that they can level with, that's the thing that's going to push them through their school days and push them through to go off and be aspirational and do what they can. But instead, we've got these kids who come from difficult backgrounds getting told, "Oh, that student's a bad student. Oh, that student's really aggressive. Oh, that student, you're always going to be here. You're never going to be anything, or you're not going to be able to go." That's all they're getting because the teachers are fed up because they don't know how to manage them. When we come in with that respectfully energy,
Mm.
they listen. You honestly, even the biggest roadman in the class, yeah, will come to us and be like, yeah, yeah.
I love
And
that.
they'll come with respect because it's like, look, and you tell them straight. It's like, yo, like, I understand what you're doing here and that, you know what I mean? And then I'll just have a little talk with them and I'll go and whisper in the air. I'll be like, bro, I'll be real. Yeah. See my life. My life is all right. Like, I'm trying to fix this for you. I'm trying to do this for you. Who do you
Mm.
love in life? Who inspires you? They're like, my mum. And I'm like, let me tell you, your mum's life can change if you are willing to follow my lead. And they'll be like, all right, cool. I'm sorry, bro. And that's it. And it's done. They've got your respect for the whole time. Some of them are more difficult. Another thing that the older generation complain about is, oh, they're always on their phone. No, they're on their phone when they're disengaged. Engage them better. Try and do something a little bit more creative. One thing I say to staff members and people in and around the buildings, even the CEOs, the directors, I'm like, stop sitting on your high chair playing I'm the boss. Go and stand in the playground as the head teacher. Go and shake their hands. Go and play basketball for 5 minutes with them at lunchtime. They will respect you. Those little things that we need to do to engage our young people better, that's going to make the real difference in the this broken bridge between education and young people, you know?
It's a really difficult job, and they've got to show up every day, and they've got to be good people, and they've got to be great role models. So I know it's not easy. Like, I know it's
Mm,
not. But you're right. And I
mm,
think it's the same. Teachers, leaders, anybody who's in a position of responsibility or power
mm,
over others does have a responsibility to show up in a way that's going to bring out the best in other people. And
mm,
I think that can be really hard. I think the workplace, unfortunately, often isn't enabling the role models to be role
mm.
models. What's really interesting is I find, especially for my eldest who's doing her GCSEs, if there is a teacher who she feels is less sort of loving and supportive and caring and understanding, she gets quite anxious before going to their classes. That's not a great foundation for learning, is it?
No, it's not. That's not right at all. That's not the environment that you want to put yourself in. As an educator, you have to be harmonious.
And I'm sure there'll be teachers listening to this going, "You don't know how hard our lives are." Like, I can
It's hard.
appreciate it's hard. I don't know if I'd
It
do it.
is.
I don't think I'd be a very good teacher, being calm and regulated all the time, and seeing the best in people and dealing with bad behaviour. I know it's a really tough gig, but of course, if that is your gig, you have to do it well.
That's what I mean. I just think if it's not for you, you should go into something else. We're talking about the future here. They need people like that. You know, it's like, don't stay in it if you don't like it because it's just the way it's got to be. And we're talking about a young person's development here and what they're going to do in their future. And I've seen it on all aspects. Like I've seen it at every level there could possibly be. Like you go in and the teachers just do not care. Like as a result of that, what you have is a bunch of students who are just like wild.
I'm quite keen to talk to you about the confidence of the younger generation. So, young people often do struggle with confidence and self belief. Why do you think so many young people struggle?
The reason why they lack in confidence is because some of those fundamentals that we had as children are no longer here. You and I, when we were 16, or no, when we were younger, maybe 13, if you was going to meet your mate, you would go to their house, you would knock on the door, and you'd be like, "Hi, is Lacey there? Hello." Oh, yeah. In my culture, I'd be like, no matter who they are, my friend could be English, white, and I'd be like, "Hello, Auntie Harriet, how you doing?" And they'd be like, "Hi, Calvin, you okay? James is just eating his dinner right now. Why don't you come in and wait for him?" And I'll go in, take my shoes off, and I will sit down like a good little boy until James is ready to come out. And if I didn't behave myself, then James is not coming out. There was so much opportunities to learn how to be confident, constantly having to talk to each other, talk to the older generation. There was no like element of secret or like not having to do it in front of people, so you didn't worry about it. But nowadays, social media has really amplified this thing around people caring what people look like or people saying. So someone will know the complete answer in a class. They will know the whole answer and more, but they're so scared to put their hand up because everyone around is looking. Not too long ago, I had a situation where this girl, she was at the bus stop, she was in my session and I was going to my car after and I was about to jump my car and she was like, "Oh, our bus is there." I was like, "You can run and catch it. It's still quite far away. Just run over there and catch it." She was like, "No, I'm not running." I was like, she was like, "Everyone's looking." I was like, "Hang on a second. Hang on. Did I?" And I paused for a second. I just had to process it in case I was stupid. And I was like, "Say that again." She says, "Because I'm not running to the bus in town while everyone's looking." And I'm like, "Hang on a second. you know that once upon a time you was a child, you was a baby, and all you did was run? You used to run away from your parents for no reason. You used to run for free. Now you're 16, and you can't run because everyone's looking, and it's like, what happened? So there's just that element of people being a little bit worried and shy, and they just lack confidence. And people will say, "Oh, it's because their phones." But no, because it's weird. You can't say that because they're also the same generation that will video themselves for the whole internet to see for 16 seconds, but in person they just won't do that. So there's just a lack of skills and a lack of awareness in terms of the fact that these are the things that they need in the real world. And it just takes a lot longer than it took us to get those skills. And every once in a while you'll meet that young person who's crazy, like in a good way. Like they're just absolutely insane, and they've got every social skill under the sun and you're like, yep, you definitely get that from someone in your family. There's someone at home who is banging the drum about being confident. So there's another thing, us as parents and people and adults, we need to be making sure that we're actively working on these sort of things with our children, because it is not something that they might actually actively get taught in school unless they get a loudspeaker workshop. Then
So what should parents do then? You know, if they can see these confidence, self-belief issues in their kids, what should they be doing?
well, I think firstly, parents need to socialize their young people around their friends and people in their life. I have a guy on Instagram that I watch. So I watched him last night, and he was like, his kid comes in and goes, "Dad, I'm going out," and then he came out through the room and he was like, "Is that it?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm going out," and he was like, "What do you mean I'm not going out?" He's like, "You don't tell me where, you don't tell me who with, you don't tell me, like you need to remember that, like, you're talking like this is your house, this is my house, and you live here. So you need to tell me where you're going and who you're going with and what time you're going to be back." And it's a really small thing of
Yeah.
just general kind of communication and manners, right? But it's like, you're underage, I'm your parents, so tell me where you're going, who you're going with, and when you're
Mm.
going to be back. But little things like that, it's like, what we need to do is communicate with them, socialize them around adults, try and teach them those small values, and actively work with them on public speaking and communication, and try and, like, do little tasks with them, set them little challenges, enterprise challenges at home. We're at home, me and you, this weekend. I'm going to give you
Yeah.
48 hours to do this project.
Yeah.
Here is £25. And I want you to come up with a plan, and you're going to pitch this plan to me, and you've
Yeah.
got
Nice.
5 minutes to do it at home, and we're going to work together on it. And I want you to go away, be creative, come up with a thing. And if you do it, I'm going to give you this £25, and then
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a bit of feedback. Like that's the sort of stuff that you want to do,
Yeah.
like engage
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff. Oh, you're not the best at reading. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we try a different way? Let's try like audiobooks, or let's try and do a this, or if you're not so confident, I'm gonna go out with you, and you're gonna go into the shop for me, and you're gonna order this. I need this, this, and this, and you're gonna go and make sure you ask for this, and little things like that. Instead, people just go, "Oh, here's your iPad, and I'll see you later."
Before we finish today, I want to
Mm,
go back to what you said about we're lucky to be alive. You talked about luck, that you're lucky to do what you do.
mm,
And I think there's also a piece around gratitude there as well, isn't there? Like being grateful that you've had the opportunity to do this,
mm,
and being grateful to be able to get out of bed in the morning. Although, you know, the caveat to that is that there will be people who wake up in the morning who don't feel grateful to be alive because sometimes life just sucks and it's
that's true.
hard, or you might have mental ill health, or it all just feels too hard. What have you learned in your life that helps you to channel that perspective, that you're lucky, that you're grateful, and that actually life is something we should really savor, even in the hard times, because you've been through your own, you know, dark times, haven't you?
Life is short. Like, just by leaving your house, getting in your car, your whole world can change in that short time. And it's so important to understand that every moment needs to be made the most of. And for me, firstly, I'm super blessed that I have a mother who taught me that no matter what life throws at you, you have to continue to, like, you have to continue to be resilient. And obviously, with me, I learned that so early because, of course, the tragedy in my life, being young and my best mate was stabbed to death, you know, brutally murdered, brutally murdered, like 16 stab wounds. The truth is, I did not break until the day of the funeral. I didn't shed a single tear until funeral day. I was trying to take it day by day, but every day was just eating at me. And like, of course, you're trying to focus on everything in life, and you're doing exams, and you're going to school. And obviously, I'm coming out, and like everyone's treating you different because you and your group of friends, like, this is gonna sound so stupid, but it was even as much as like kids at school were like, "Oh, do you want to go in front of me in the queue?" Like, what? Why? Or teachers were like, "Oh, you okay? You okay? If you need time to da da da." And like, do you know when someone asks you if you're okay every single day, it gets to a point where you're not okay. And everyone listening to this podcast will know what it's like, right? Like when you lose someone, the first day, right? And the first whatever year or every day is the hardest time. Truth is, though, it gets a little bit easier. But this is how life is. One day, when you think you're starting to heal, something reminds you of it. A moment, a situation, a person, a song, a something. It gives you a reminder and takes you right back to the day where you thought your whole world has ended. And for me, that was the place I was in. And I, I didn't, I guess I didn't know how to process it. And on the day of the funeral was when I finally processed it and I realized, mate, he's never coming back. And that's it. And there's nothing I can do about it. He will never be able to say he got married. He will never be able to say he, he drove a car or he did anything like that. He didn't get the opportunity to do any of that. And I don't know, it just it hurts. And that was the place it all came from. And I always promise, what truth is as well, Natasha, I feel guilty because, sometimes I think, oh, what more could I have done? But you're just a kid, you're navigating life. Now I'm like, okay, well, life is good now. I've got all these resources and could I support them more? And the truth is, like, and why I'm saying I feel guilty is because the truth is, like, I sadly now don't have much of a relationship with any of those people. And I tried to have a relationship with his brother, his younger brother, just to try and support, keep him on a straight and narrow. But the truth is, he was so far gone.
Yeah.
He was. It pains me to say it, but he was never coming back. And
Mm.
and I tried for so many years, but I feel like I get so anxious now because I really want to rekindle with those people. And I try and motivate myself every day by just simply saying to myself, look, no matter what happens, everything I do is to keep my friend's name alive, and he would be extremely proud of everything I've done.
Yeah, of course he would. Of course he would. And of course you can't, there's only so much you can do, right? You can't save everyone.
It's the thing that always plays on your mind. Could you have, and it's something that I talk with about to my counselor, and it doesn't get easier, but what I have done is found a way to tell my story and to give people the positive side from it. It's just
Mm.
important for these people to know that they're not alone, you
Mm.
know, and that there's people like myself who've been through the same thing, and we need to support each other and support the people around us in the best way that we can, because as I said, life is actually short. And from all the tragic things that have happened in my life, that one there really opened my eyes to that. And
Mm.
I don't take a single day for granted now.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I appreciate that. I totally get it. So, I mean, this comes up a lot when I'm coaching. People hold on to things from their childhood or their teenage years where they say, I could have done something different, or maybe I could have done something different, or it was my fault. And often, once they've been on that journey, they realize that actually it wasn't their fault. They were young. And now you're not as young. And so there's all sorts of things you can do now that you didn't have the resources or the capacity or the whatever to do then. Look how much you're doing now. And I think that's, I guess, going back to the very, very start of the podcast around purpose, we can all make a positive difference in this world, and we all have made mistakes, and we would all potentially, change some of the things that have happened in our life. If you're somebody who subscribes to regret, I'm not really. Every single day, I guess, is a new opportunity for change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day is a good day to be alive. An opportunity to change, an opportunity to develop, and an opportunity to go again. And that's what we got to be thankful for life. Biggest flex on earth.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. This will be very important, I think, for people listening, because there's a lot of very, very profound wisdom in there, Calvin. You look about 20, but sound like Gandalf. Well, thank you so much. For anybody that wants to get hold of you just to chat or to talk about Loudspeaker, where do they find you?
At Loudspeaker Live on Instagram or any social platform. And then our website is loudspeaker.org.uk. Reach out to us or reach out to my team. Someone will get it to me. Say hi if you want some good vibes. Or more importantly, if you want me to host your 50th birthday party, I am the vibes.
Yeah, well, okay. I've got 3 years. You're in.
Let me know.
Great. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being on the podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for all of the great work that you're doing. Thank you for listening to Pieces of Choice. For any information on what we've covered in today's episode, and to connect with my guests, head to the show notes. It would be great if you could rate and review the podcast and subscribe now so you don't miss out on any future episodes.